This is a database utilization video for LS560 Information Technology through University of Alabama SLIS. This is for spring 2016 and we are group G, SACA. SACA stands for the last names of our contributors, Amy Shropshire, Jerome Asbell, Burns Kennedy, and Joanna Aberch. We are doing our database design project on St. Francis Animal Clinic, the same site that we did our usability study on. They do have one already interactive feature on their site supported by a database, and that is this Pet Health Checker. It's kind of a neat feature where you can select the type of animal that you have and select any symptoms that they may have. And the site will tell you whether they believe that you should go to the clinic or whether you should seek specialty treatment, which is a really neat feature and something that got really positive reviews in the usability study. We are actually recommending a secondary feature, which would be something that a lot of doctors' offices have. They have patient forms where you can submit new patient information so that you're not stuck at the doctor's office filling out all kinds of paper forms. And this information would automatically generate a new patient in the database and would fill in all the basic information that you might need. This is our mock-up for that, where the patient would, or the owner would put in their information, put in their pet's information, all the basic information that they need to begin treating an animal. This is not the fully comprehensive list of items from our database. Other information could be gathered at the desk and through other forms as well. This is the information that they would need sort of to get started. And then other information can be added later as needed for future contact and for things like that. So this is based on their code from their website and what a new patient form would look like. A new patient brought here, their owner would fill out this form and then hit submit, and the information would be transported into the database so that the doctors or the veterinarians could prepare for that new animal and that new patient. Once all the information is gathered from the online form and from any clerical staff, the information is entered into this database. We have a number of different fields and a number of different tables denoting different types of information. We have a main table which simply generates an ID for the owner and associates the owner name with the names of their pets. We have family information for each of the owners so that we know if pets live with children and things like that, and we have their address and where the pet lives. We have contact information for each owner so that we can call them and whether they prefer email contact, when they prefer to be contacted, things like that. And then we have a table specifically just for the pets, and we have the owner IDs separate from the pet IDs so that we can associate different information from the pets than we do from the owners. Say, for example, we just needed information on Charlie the dog, and we just needed to get his medical information. We don't need to pull up all of the information associated with that owner because then we'll be gathering information on these 4 cats as well. And we don't need that. We just need the information for Charlie. So for that reason, I did a separate pet ID from the owner ID so that we'd be able to gather information separately. And the owner ID is still associated with that contact information and that main ID, which is generated by the system. Now, there are several relationships involved in this nice triangle of tables. I've associated all of the owner IDs with one another so that since the IDs are identical, for each, the owner IDs associated with the main ID, associated with the family ID. Since all of those are identical, that allows me to pull, that allows a many-to-many relationship, wherein I can pull any of the information from the contacts, for example, and associate it with all of the information in pets, because those owner IDs are going to match. Doing that allows me sort of a greater ability to pull more information, whereas establishing simple one-to-one or one-to-one relationships wouldn't allow me that much flexibility. So what I did was I established all of the owner IDs as matching, and then that way we can, like, each individual pet ID is associated with a different owner ID, so we can pull information on individual pets, and we can also pull information on the owners, say for contact information. Now, the usefulness of this is that this allows the company to keep track of patient and owner information. They can keep track of what the pet status is. They can keep track of who to contact and keep their information updated. They can better keep in touch with their clients. They can know who wants to be emailed and who doesn't, so they don't make anyone mad. They can just make sure that everyone stays informed about the various different services offered as well. So this is extremely useful for the client once we get into doing queries from our database. So for the queries for this database, I actually used Access itself to create queries. The first one is just a simple query to update contact information. We're taking the contact information for the secondary phone number and changing it to the same as the primary phone number because we don't want to use that secondary phone number anymore. We could also just change it to a blank number and have it just simply be erased, but this just seemed like a little bit more sensical. So we have update contact. That's updating this particular table, the contact table, and we're setting the phone number within the contact table, phone number 2 within the contact table, to this number, where the contact phone number, the primary phone number, equals that same number. So we're changing the secondary phone number to match the primary number in that one simple instance. So when we run this query, it says we are updating a row. We are updating that row. And now if we go back to the contact information, we see that that phone number has changed and it has become the same as the primary phone number. So that's a simple query for updating information. We could change any of these values or any of these fields to update any other sections of the database. Our second query is a newsletter list. Let me open up the design for it. I wanted to, say, send out a newsletter to all of the people who would like a newsletter sent to them. This is the type of query we would use because we need their name and their email address. The reason I did name as well as email address because there are scripts that you can use to have an email directly sent to someone which actually says their name within the text that replaces sort of a blank value with that name, so it could sort of be a more personalized email even though it's technically automatically generated, and those are rather popular. So I did a selection for the owner name and the owner and the contact email address. I had to join the two tables so that we could pull both information from the contacts and from family, where the contact ID equals the family ID, because those two ID numbers should match because they are both the owner ID number automatically generated in the main table. Where email preferences equals yes. So that means we're only pulling those that have agreed to allow us to email them, who say that they would like to receive email contact. That just keeps us from annoying anyone or making anyone mad by emailing them too much when they would not like to have an email newsletter sent to them. So when we run this query, we get a list of names and a list of email addresses, which we can use to send out our newsletters. This is all the people who would like to receive our newsletters. So our third query is a bit of a more specialized query. It is there are a lot of dangers involved in cat urine and feces with small children. So we thought we would, as a veterinarian office, that we would send out a health alert warning families that have both children and cats about the dangers of infection from cat feces and cat urine. So we are selecting distinct contacts and email addresses, or contact email addresses, and family owner name. The reason why we are selecting owner name again is so that we can personalize our emails, and we are selecting only the distinct email addresses because we don't want to get a family with 4 different cats get 4 different emails. We just want one email about the cats and the children. So we needed to join several tables together, contact joins with family so that we can pull both of those bits of information. And again, our IDs have to equal, so because those are the fields that we have joined together, and those are the fields that are identical across the board. We are also joining our pet table so that we can pull information about the type of pet, specifically cats, where our contact ID equals the owner ID from the pet table. Those two fields must equal because those are both the unique identifier for the owner. And we want this information to match. We want the pet type to equal cat. Now we have to be careful with our vocabulary when we're doing data entry for this exact reason. If that word cat doesn't match exactly, then we won't pull information that we might otherwise be able to pull. If it says feline, then we would have issues. So we have to make sure our vocabulary remains uh, standard. And we also want family children to not equal this. Now, the reason this is the way it is because any value could be entered for children. If they have children, they would enter a value. If they do not have children, they would leave that space blank. So we do not want a blank space. So this greater than less than sign means we do not want this. So any value that does not equal blank space is what we're looking for. So we're pulling everything that is not blank in that field. And so we get a list of people who we should email about these health dangers from cat urine and feces involved with children. Now from this we can generate a report through Access which shows us all of the information nice and laid out in report form. This is easily printable. A nice report generation feature that we can then export this. We can use this to we can print it, we can change it, we can copy it and put it in a Word file. We can do whatever we want to do with this report and have it show all of the information that we need. So we feel that that would be a great added feature to St. Francis Animal Clinic's website, that being able to not only see the client forms available, but just to immediately fill out the forms before you to the clinic would be great for new clients, and that way they can go ahead and get the information to the veterinarian so that it would be readily accessible before they even get there, and the veterinarian can go ahead and prepare for what animal is coming in and what health issues they may have. Um, so this could be a great help, especially in recruiting more technologically savvy users.